Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Now we're talking about leveraging women for renaissance. Of course, we know what's going on the global scene. There's a lot of, losses from the credit market and, of course, currency market. Nigeria's economy is also facing strong hardships. Now, there's been ongoing conversation about how much women should be contributing to the economy. Now, very recent statistics shows that about 42% total women contribute about a 42% total to labor force. Literacy rates are also well below that of men. So how can the Nigerian government leverage on women to boost the economy? I'm being joined on the program by a development consultant, Fayo Williams, to talk about this. Thank you so much, Fayo, for joining me on the program this morning.
Thanks, Harriet, for having me.
So let's look at why the government should be looking at investing in women at this time when there seems to be challenges across the world.
Government should definitely invest in women because it has been found out that whatever you invest in a woman is normally shared to her family, the community. It trickles down into the country, the society, and even the world at large. So whatever investment you make in a woman is very often multiplied. So they are a veritable vehicle for getting that economic development thrust out there, as from their role as caregivers, their role as nurturers, their role as trainers, and their performance in the labor market. As you have said, it is a good development to really invest in the future of a woman.
So looking at developments with regards to agriculture, for instance, I remember I've had conversations with you with regards how women contribute to the agriculture sector. Yeah. Has that improved in recent times, especially since we know that the government is talking more about that particular sector, agriculture?
Well, from the information that I have, you have about 43% of the labor force in agriculture being women, but they end up owning very little land. So the empowerment is really not there. The decision making is really not there. They cannot just be tillers of the earth and those fetching the water and helping with logistics and packaging. We need to encourage women to hold their own. So for instance, we all heard about this mechanization fund whereby large machinery will be subsidized and given to the farmers. I wonder what the government is saying about women accessing such instrumentation. It's very, very important because they could be marginalized, and that would have a really deleterious effect on economic development if women are marginalized from that particular scheme.
Do you think that nobody's really listening to these issues, because it comes up time and time again that women are marginalized, particularly in key sectors like agriculture? So do you think that someone is listening, the government is listening to all of these complaints, and what kind of policies do you think should be thought of at this time to encourage more women participation in key sectors of the economy?
Taking the first part of your statement, that do I think the government is listening? I don't think they are listening keenly enough, because a whole lot has been said and the statistics are there. When it comes to even access to funds, women are found to pay back better, and yet there's still a whole lot of delay and cogs in the wheel when women want to access funds. And talking about policy, we have the National Gender Policy, and we also know about the policy signed in Beijing. This is 20 years after Beijing. We're supposed to have about 35% women representation in governance, but you and I know that in Nigeria today it's less than 10%. That's not good enough. This asymmetric kind of relationship between the man and the male and the female is stunting economic growth and economic development. So we should find more inclusive policies that help to protect women, to prevent them from being attacked. Right now, we have a whole lot of women that are being turned into suicide bombers, that are made to do things that they shouldn't, naturally be seen to be doing. And this is really very unfortunate. Today there's a march on the Chibok girls, over 600 days. They've been missing in an attempt to get an education. So we should be talking about securing the future of the girl child by training her, by hiring right, by ensuring that she has an environment in which she can thrive.
But then do you think that the orientation of most women is that they should come out, make themselves be seen, and not make themselves be heard, and not just be seen? Because you're saying 10%, and maybe the reason why it seems as if there's just about 10% in governance is because that's the only number that are speaking up, and then we're also seeing.
I agree with you that sometimes women don't come out. They don't realize how awesome they are. You know, the very capable, passionate, and dedicated women, sometimes they're like pearls in an oyster, and you have to go hunt for them. So we have advocated things like a twinning policy in appointment positions. For instance, we could have more women being appointed. We're very happy. I think right now we have the head of service or so, you know, being a woman. And we need to see more of that kind of initiative so that we have women being shown that they can do this work, they can perform. And in that case, more women will see them as role models and will be able to step forward and be counted.
Well, we're going to focus more on that in just a moment. We'll take a quick break, catch our breath, and continue our conversation on how we can leverage on women in economic renaissance with Fayo Williams. Join us again.
Imagine a completely new way to put news in your hand, where you choose which stories to watch and how you watch them. Imagine being there at the center of the news.
Candidate and his entourage have been whisked away to safety.
ChannelsTV.com, the news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Don't forget, you can join ongoing conversations online on Twitter. We're at Business Morning, at Channels TV, and at CTV Harriet, and at B Bosin. We'll be glad to get your comments and questions on conversations that we'll be having here on the program. Fayo Williams is still here with me in the studio. She's a development consultant, and we're talking about leveraging women for economic renaissance. Thank you so much, Fayo, for sticking around. Now,
You're
just
welcome.
before we went on that quick break, you talked about some women who have in key positions in government at the moment, foreign affairs, for instance, Minister for Environment, for
That's
instance. These are aspects of the economy where a lot of attention is being paid to. But looking at the kind of role that, for instance, the Minister of Environment has, how challenging do you think it is, and how do you think that other women groups and associations can actually support this drive by the Minister of Environment?
I think that the role of the Minister for Environment can be challenging. Right now, we have an outbreak of Lassa fever, and the Minister for Environment has been co-opted into a kind of a working team with the Minister of Information, with the Minister for Health. You know, they all need to come together and collaborate to ensure that we have public enlightenment and we have improved community hygiene. We are also talking about climate change. Recently, we had the accord, you know, that was reached, you know, global accord on climate change. So there could be a whole lot of information, a lot of things to be done in that particular ministries. Again, you could look at the NDDC. We have a woman at the helm of affairs, Seminitari, I think that's her name. And you are right, there is a whole lot of focus on these areas right now under this dispensation, under this government. And I would like to see the women coming out and giving us a legacy, so to say, in those areas, just like the late Dora Akinyuli did in NAFDAC.
So in terms of wealth management and poverty reduction, everybody says that the woman is the best manager of such situation. Taking a look at where we are at the moment, how best do you think women can contribute to help to quickly begin to see a quick resuscitation of the economy? We've talked about agriculture. What other ways can women contribute to economic growth?
A lot of women play in sectors such as trade and commerce. In a sector like ICT, they are very few, I must say. So while you have sectors that women tend to, hold their own, just as you said, agric, trade and commerce, there are some sectors that are, that women shy away from. So I think that right now it is going to be the responsibility of everyone to harness all the potential that we have. From the men, from the women, from the youths. We have a huge army of youths. A whole lot of them are unemployed, and we have some women that are currently underemployed. So we need to change that situation around so that we can truly have the economic development that we so desire.
So talking about developments, do you think there are enough initiatives and schemes to encourage women, to show their potentials?
I think we can do better. For instance, right now, we have the Sustainable Development Goals on hand. Goal number 1 is eradication of poverty in all forms. We have seen a whole lot of women that are in poverty. In fact, poverty has been said to wear a female face. And this is not good enough because women can be quite industrious. So when we talk about economic empowerment schemes, particularly from the government, we shouldn't just have all the hair dryers and grinders being distributed. We should have better engagement. We should know what are the resources in each of the local governments and who are the people who have the passion to really mine these resources and convert them to good foreign exchange and good income for the communities. So we should have more inclusive policies and initiatives and things that are bottom up rather than just from the top down. So we should have a say. There should be greater citizen participation in governance. And I think that would help the women to rise up and take their rightful place.
What if we had more women in the corporate world? Do you think that would also make a difference? Because the number of women we have, of the likes of the chairman of
the First Bank. First Bank Group.
Quest. So you're looking at, corporations, like organizations like that, and you're wondering why you have very few women in the banking sector making name, oil and gas sector, key sectors of the economy. Do you think if there were more women in the corporate world, there might be a difference?
I believe there would be a great difference if we had more women in the corporate world. Right now, some of the challenges that they're facing include having to achieve work-life balance in the corporate world. We all know the strains and stresses of daily living in an urban area, and we know the biological, role of women as carers and nurturers. But honestly, women have a whole lot of characteristics, and they should not be put into a stereotype that, oh, that person is, being a woman, she would have to procreate, she has to take time off. But when the women are there, the kind of intuition, the attitude that they bring into the workplace, the flavor that they bring, that should, also be encouraged. So we should have more women coming into corporate world, and this is right from the hiring process, the attraction, the hiring, the training. All these things need to be stepped up so that the women can be shown that they have a role to play and they will be allowed to perform that role in the corporate world. And then we'll have more role models who can kind of pull in other young females into the corporate world.
Well, thank you so much, Fayo Williams, for sharing your perspectives with us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Fayo Williams is a development consultant and entrepreneur. Joined us on the program talking about leveraging women for Renaissance.